Lecture number 19, Minerals in Animal Nutrition. So in this lecture, we will discuss about some important macro and micro minerals and their usage in animal. Minerals, they are the only group of nutrients that are inorganic. If we look at the chemical composition of the diet is composed of organic and inorganic constituents. Carbohydrate, fat, protein, and vitamins are the organic constituents, whereas minerals are the inorganic constituents of the diet. So that's why these minerals are considered as the only group of nutrients that are inorganic. So when we look at the importance of these minerals, they are used in a diet in a very small amount, a very little proportion of the total feed intake. But if we look at the functions or their role in the body, they are of very much importance. So they have their role in providing structural support to the body, like calcium and phosphorus. They are the major components of the bones. And similarly, if we talk about the eggshell is made up of calcium carbonate. These minerals, they help in the construction of muscles, blood cells, internal organs, and they are also the component of number of metalloenzymes. So animals with the deficiency of minerals, they will not develop into a proper body, and they are also susceptible to number of diseases. From these points, you can very well understand about the importance of minerals. Minerals are classified on the basis of their concentration in the animal. Here we mean the animal body composition. When we analyze an animal body, so on the basis of their concentration in the body, we can classify them. Or the other way of classification is the amount of minerals required in the diet. So in a general way, we can say both are interlinked. Those minerals which are the major component of the body composition, they are required in large amount. So those minerals which are required in large amount, they are known as major or macro minerals. So they are 7 in number and their requirements are in gram per day. Whereas the minerals which are required in a small amount, like in micro or milligram on daily basis, they are known as micro minerals. And in some books, there are another classification or the third category that is known as trace minerals. Usually, those minerals which become toxic at a very small amount, those are considered as trace minerals. But in a broader sense, there are two categories: the macro minerals and micro minerals. Micro and trace minerals are 10, but their number is more if we add all the trace elements. Normally, trace elements are present in the animal body in a concentration not greater than 50 milligram per kg, and they are required at a rate of less than 100 milligram per kg of the diet. List of minerals under each categories: under the macro minerals, calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, chloride, magnesium, and sulfur are the macro minerals. Where under the micro minerals, which are required in small amount, they are iron, zinc, manganese, copper, cobalt, iodine, selenium, chromium, molybdenum, and fluorine. They are the micro minerals. So nutritionally important essential mineral elements and their approximate composition in the animal. So this is from the animal composition data. Here, the calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, chlorine, sulfur, and magnesium, they are all the major elements. And if you look at the requirement, the magnesium is present in amount of 0.4 gram per kg of the body weight, whereas the concentration of calcium in the body is 15 gram per kg. If you look at the trace elements, that's iron, zinc, copper, molybdenum, selenium, iodine, manganese, and cobalt, all are the trace elements or micro elements. Minerals, they make up 3 to 5% of the body weight, and out of this, almost 50% is the share of calcium, and 1/4 of the body minerals, they are of phosphorus. So you can say these two minerals are the major contributor, up to 75% of the total mineral content in the body. When we talk about feeding of minerals, minerals, they are usually fed free choice in most of the systems, but nowadays they are added as a part of concentrate mixture in the form of a premix, where minerals are fed as a free choice. The mineral mixture, or uh, you can say the different sources of minerals, they are blend together and they are placed in a mineral box or animal feeding trough, or along with the different blocks like urea mineral molasses blocks, salt blocks. So essential minerals, they are present in the block, and the animals take the minerals by licking the block. So this is the usual practice in our villages, where the farmer, they placed salt in the form of a block or mineral functions. So these are the four major functions, or the four major categories of functions which are performed by the mineral. The one is known as catalytic function in the cell. Minerals, they are bound to the protein, or they are bound to the enzymes, or sometimes they are present as a prosthetic group in chelated form. Examples are chlorophyll, cytochrome, hemoglobin, and vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 contain cobalt, so that's why the technical name of vitamin B12 is cyanocobalamine. Second is the physiological function. Minerals, they play a key role in maintaining the acid-base balance in the body, and they are also helpful in maintaining membrane permeability and the osmotic control of water distribution within the body. So this regulation of water balance, acid-base balance, uh, minerals are the key player for such type of functions. When we talk about the structure role, though we have discussed in the previous slide, the calcium and phosphorus, they are the essential component of the bone. And sulfur is also necessary for the synthesis of structural protein. The reason being, sulfur is also a component of protein which contain methionine and cysteine. Like if we look at the hair, if we look at the feather, they contain sulfur, they contain amino acid which are sulfur containing, methionine and cysteine. So that's why sulfur has a key role in the synthesis of structural protein. Regulatory functions, number of functions, they are regulated by the enzymes, and those enzymes, they also contain the mineral elements, or sometimes mineral elements as such, they are playing their role. If you remember the conversion of glucose into glucose 6 phosphate, that require magnesium for that conversion. Similarly, phosphorus is required for that conversion. uh, so such type of regulatory functions, they are performed by the minerals. So they perform function in controlling cell replication and differentiation. Here is an example of zinc that act in this way by influencing the transcription process. So these processes mainly, they are related with the DNA and RNA synthesis and body cell replication. And as a general rule, one mineral, who just simply talk about the calcium, that is not only performing the structure role, that is also performing multiple functions. So that's why it is not uncommon for an element or mineral to have a number of different roles. For example, magnesium function as catalyst electrochemically, and it also acts as structural component because magnesium is also present in bonds. So a number of elements, they have a unique function. Like if we talk about the iron, that is the constituents of hemoglobin or constituents of heme, which is essential part of number of cytochromes important in respiration. Cobalt is a component of vitamin B12 and iodine is a part of thyroxine, tetrahydrothioneine. Calcium and molybdenum, they may interfere with the absorption, transport, function, storage, or excretion of other elements. So such type of mineral function or activity is known as antagonism. Antagonism means that the presence of one affects the function of the other. Like here I have mentioned the example of calcium and molybdenum. They may interfere with the absorption, transport, function, storage, or excretion of the other mineral elements. There are three major ways of mineral interactions. Okay, how minerals they interact: formation of unabsorbable compounds, like they make a compound that is not absorbable, and that compound is not absorbed, rather that is excreted in the fecal material. Second, they have a competition for metabolic pathway, like they are utilizing the same pathway which is being available for other elements or other type of nutrients. So due to the competition, sometimes they may not get absorbed. The induction of metal binding proteins. So due to the presence of these metal binding proteins, again, the chances of some of the minerals not to be absorbed are there. So two relationships exist among the trace elements. The one is antagonistic and second one is synergistic. Occur at two levels. Number one is at metabolic level and the second one is at absorption or absorptive site. Antagonism at the absorption level or absorptive site is due to inhibition of the absorption. That is, excess intake of a single element can decrease the intestinal absorption of another element. Here is the example of the calcium that depresses intestinal zinc absorption. When calcium is present in excess amount, that depresses the zinc absorption. While an excess intake of zinc can depress the copper absorption. So such type of a relationship is known as antagonistic mechanism or antagonistic relationship. Then antagonistic at metabolic level occur when an excess of one element interferes with the metabolic function of another or contribute to its excretion due to compartmental displacement. If they displace the other element and that element excreted from the body. For example, zinc and copper, they act as an antagonistic to each other. Similarly, cadmium and zinc, iron and copper, then calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. So these are the examples of some antagonistic groups. So this is the mineral wheel that indicates the mineral antagonistic. Here you can see some of the minerals, they have a two-way arrows, like phosphorus and calcium. The excess of one may interfere with the absorption of the other, and that might be a vice versa. In some cases, there is only one way, like iron and aluminium. This is a one-way type of antagonistic effect. The excess of iron might affect the absorption of the aluminium. Similarly, here with the mercury, excess of iron interfere with the absorption of the mercury. Similarly, zinc and sodium. No need to go into detail because that's a very complex type of activities, but at least for some of the major elements like we have discussed, zinc and copper, they have an antagonistic effect at metabolic level. And if you look at this, the calcium and zinc, so here we come with the calcium and then you look at the zinc. This is the one way. If calcium is in excess, that interfere with the absorption of the zinc. Likewise, we also discuss about at metabolic level, zinc and sodium. So when zinc is present in excess amount, it will depress the absorption of the sodium. Then mineral synergism. So it occurs largely on a metabolic level. Synergistic effect means that the presence of one will improve or will increase the utilization of the other. The example here is iron and copper. They act in a synergistic way. If sufficient copper is required for iron utilization. If copper is available, then it facilitates or it improves the utilization of the iron. When we talk about the magnesium, it functions in concert with potassium by enhancing its cellular retention. The synergism between calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus is well known due to their requirement in the maintenance and structure of osseous tissue. Osseous means that they are required for the development of the bone. So that is a sort of synergism. So here is a long list of these synergistic effects. Like if we talk about the calcium, so magnesium, phosphorus, copper, sodium, potassium, and selenium, they have a synergistic effect. That you can say it is a one group of synergistic effect. So the interaction of minerals with each other is an important factor in animal nutrition. The reason being, if one mineral is present in excess amount, so that will either decrease the absorption of the other or it might improve the absorption of the other. So we will have to be very much careful while designing a premix for animal, and we should consider all these imbalances because such imbalances might lead to sometimes deficiency of minerals. Even you are feeding in a required amount or your premix have a sufficient amount of minerals, but due to this antagonistic effect, the excess might lead to the deficiency of the other. So it is important in the etiology of certain nutritional disorders of farm animals. So whenever you are experiencing some problem in animal, even your diet is well, health of the animal is well, then always consider whether those animals they are taking the minerals according to the requirement and the ratios of different minerals is according to the required level. Otherwise, your animal might have a sufficient amount of diet, but may suffer or may be affected due to these mineral interactions. A third type of relationship is also noted where a deficient intake of an element can allow toxic accumulation of another element. If sometimes if one mineral is deficient in the diet, those elements uh, which are absorbed at that time, so they get accumulated in the body. Here is an example of a small amount of cadmium intake can accumulate to a point of toxicity in the presence of marginal and deficient zinc intake. So this is a there is a very good physiology for this type of mechanisms. But simply here, I just want to mention due to an introductory course, if such toxicity might occur. Similarly, lead toxicity occur when diet is either deficient in calcium and iron, or there is an insufficient amount of calcium and iron in the diet, so it might lead to lead toxicity. Iron toxicity can develop in the presence of a copper deficiency. So when you go through an individual minerals discussion or study, then you can realize how important these interactions are and how they are affecting each other mineral. A fourth relationship can also be seen when an excessive intake of a single element produces a deficiency of a synergistic element. This can result in an excessive accumulation of element as seen with excessive zinc intake contributing to a copper deficiency. Such an imbalance can cause excessive iron to build up in storage tissues, and manganese, by interfering with magnesium, can result in excessive potassium and sodium accumulation. So these are the four type of different antagonistic synergistic effect. Here, if you look at the calcium, so it have an antagonistic or synergistic effect like vitamin A, C, D, E, K, and the minerals magnesium. So it's a long list. Again, not going into detail, but for any problem or with issue with the animals, you can go for looking of the issues related to this. So this is about this column is about antagonistic effect. This is about synergistic effect. Then comes the mineral toxicity. Yes, minerals are also toxic. They cause illness or death if given to the animal in excessive quantities. And this is particularly true for copper, selenium, molybdenum, fluorine, vanadium, and arsenic. Copper is a cumulative poison, and the animal body being unable to excrete it efficiently. This also applies to the element of fluorine. So in some soil, which are high in such type of mineral elements like molybdenum and selenium, so toxicities might occur. Here I want to mention a case from the human side. Uh, a person is suffering from dental caries. Uh, there is a, you can say that their teeth, they are not growing well, rather that individual was suffering from dental caries. Uh, and doctor prescribed calcium, phosphorus deficiency, this and this. But the reason was fluoride toxicity. All the toothpaste, they contain fluoride, and that dental caries were due to excessive intake of fluorine, or that excess fluorine caused the toxicity, and that result in dental caries in that particular individual. So always be careful when you are taking different type of products like shampoos or toothpaste, which contain these chemical elements. So you should go for gradual changing. At least you use one product for 1 or 2 months and then replace it with another one, because the chemical composition of different type of these product is different. So that may not cause such type of issues that I have mentioned for in this patient case. So supplementation of any diet with minerals should always be carried out with great care, so that mineral should be added to the concentrated food or feed via pre-mix and thoroughly mixed to avoid hot spot of high concentration and potential toxicity. Because sometimes we add chromium or copper in the diet, so they should be added with very much care, and they should be properly mixed. Here you can go through these charts. There is a mineral element, their major functions, deficiency symptoms, practical sources, and comments. Uh, at least you should know about the minerals, its practical source, and its major role, and some at least 1 or 2 deficiency symptoms. So I have given this for calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, potassium, iodine, copper, iron, manganese, selenium, zinc. Uh, I'm not going into detail of that individual mineral element, because this is just an introductory course, and you have to just have an idea about the type of mineral, its source, and its some particular deficiency that is due to that particular type of minerals. Like in this case, you look at zinc, so it is an important component of several enzymes. I'm not going into detail of what type of enzyme, but the carbonic anhydrase is a very important enzyme. Then, due to the deficiency, there is a bone problem, poor feathering, and related growth and loss of appetite. So there is not a particular, a specific issue with that particular type of minerals. Like if you look at the selenium, there is a deficiency syndrome, that is an exudate diathesis, or a type of muscular dystrophy might occur. So this is a particular type of disease that is due to the deficiency of this mineral. Then manganese, there is a porosis, that's an important disease. Shortened legs and bones, they are due to the manganese deficiency. Like iron deficiency, you're very well aware, it causes the hemoglobin deficiency, oxygen carrying capacity reduced. Uh, then to talk about the copper again, anemia or depigmentation of the feathers, that are the major problem with this mineral. So at least you have to check for particular mineral element for such type of issue.